of experience working in IT. So I started my career basically working as a developer, mainly into the middleware domain, where I have worked exploring some middleware tools like TIPCO, Delboomi, and some of the analytical tools like Tableau, Power BI, and into reporting domain. And gradually I moved into a tech lead role, and with some of the background experience I got opportunity to work as a scrum master. And yeah, today I'm working as a scrum master with John Deere into data and analytic platform. And to talk about my roles and responsibility, I'm working as a scrum master with the Scrum team, where I have 5 developers and a PO and myself as a Scrum team. And yeah, so I think that is pretty much about myself.
Okay, thanks, Gayatri, to walk us through your journey as a Scrum Master. So,
Yeah.
how do you know that as a Scrum Master or as a team that your user story is a good user story? Is there any
So
characteristic of a user story which you feel is necessary for a team to know?
yeah, so for a user story, we can say it should have a very good, clear description in place. It should be clearly understood on what aspect, and it should meet the invest criteria. In a way, it should be independent, it should be negotiable, it should be valuable, it should be estimable, and it should describe uh, all necessary values that a scrum team needs in a way to start with the story into the next sprint. So it should clearly describe the acceptance criteria that has to be accepted, agreed, and discussed by PO and the scrum team. And that is a very important criteria for a user story that can be picked into a sprint. And considering the risk factor, the dependencies should be pre-analyzed, so that the potential blockers or the risk won't come in between the sprint once the work is started. So that is something which I can summarize a story to be called as a good user story.
Okay, so is there any kind of problems which you have encountered with user stories or your team has faced? You want to share any of the recent example?
Yeah, so when we say a user story should be small enough and testable, that's sometimes a challenge where a user story is not particularly sliced, considering its functionality. So that user story estimates goes much higher than expected, and it span across the sprint. So for such stories, we can face some issues and challenges at the end of the sprint, where we can get a potential spillover, because there could be much more review comments and feedback that can come at the end of sprint, and developer doesn't have a enough time or a bandwidth within the sprint to incorporate those changes or the review comments. So it can in a way affect our sprint goal. The team can miss achieving the sprint goal if that is not properly sized, and it is not small enough. So that is one of the challenge. So we try to see if we can slice the story to the smallest level, so that we can get early feedback, and any review comments or any changes expected can be incorporated within the sprint. And in a way, we can as a team try to see how we make sure to achieve our sprint goal and do not get deviated from that. So that is one of the challenge we come across. The other, I would say that it should be testable and estimable. So sometimes a user story is not clear enough that a developer can estimate to. So considering that, the scope of the user story varies, and the acceptance criteria doesn't get met, and we have certain surprises at the end of the sprint, where a acceptor and a developer has some disagreement over the completion of user story, and we again end up having such stories into a backlog or maybe into the next sprint. So that is few examples which I can relate to, considering the challenges which I faced as far as good user story is concerned.
have summarized pretty well the kind of challenges which most of the also faced. So that's good that you are well versed with that. And could you just give us some examples of different impediments or the challenges as a Scrum Master which you encounter day to day?
Yeah, some very basic examples what I can share is like sometimes a team misses a very simple thing like for any portal or any of the tool which they are trying to use to develop that user story, where they particularly need some access in a way to start on that story or maybe to test that story. So they identify this issue in the middle of the sprint and they don't have the required access and they get blocked. So that's impediment for them, as we can say that's one of the technical impediment for a team. And we try to get it resolved, we try to raise some requests in order that the team member get the necessary access, but that takes some time, and that can cause some issue in a way we achieve our sprint goal, we can miss it. And yeah, this is one of the example I can say. The other impediment what we can come across is like some unplanned leave maybe, and the story is not updated or maybe in this daily stand up the letter status is not discussed with the other team member. So that's an impediment for the team, that they don't know where to start from and how some other team member can take that user story and move it to the completion state in order to achieve the sprint goal. So sometimes it happens, and we have to work on removing such overcoming such kind of impediments. In a way, team can smoothly progress towards achieving the sprint goal.
So how do you do that? So you told about the challenges that okay, the team may not have access. So do you think that the planning is not adequate or when team is not giving the status? So how you prompt your team for all these things?
Yeah, so we utilize our retro platform where we discuss on what went well and what challenges we faced and where we can improve on. So there we discuss on such scenarios which we came across, and we identify some action items which we can work on as a team and try to improvise on that particular action item as a team, and make sure that going forward we could avoid some of these causes. So that's how we try to inspect and adapt within our team.
Okay, okay. So tell me, Gayatri, how comfortable are you in facilitating ceremonies, and which one is most challenging for you as a Scrum Master?
So for my current team, I would say the most challenging was the retrospective, where I got a challenge where it was difficult for me to make team talk. So initially there was very less inputs from team. So we have to motivate them to come up with their opinions, their suggestion, their valuable inputs. In a way, we can do a process of inspect and adapt more effectively. So that was one of my challenge, and that was one of my challenging event, I would say, that I came across. Otherwise, sprint planning and the daily scrum, I'm pretty comfortable facilitating those events.
Okay. And you are also facilitating the demo, the kind of issues which you face when your team is giving demos to the other stakeholders.
Issue as of as I can say, no issues as such, but the invites was pretty challenging, because since we have stakeholders geographically located at some other location, to to make alignment, to have everybody attending the call and everybody come making sure that they are available at the particular time and the demo is happening, that was one of the biggest challenge. So we have to work more onto that area where everybody's availability was ensured.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. And what do you think as a Scrum Master? What is your achievement at the end of every sprint?
So at the end of sprint, I would say that I can see how my team is well organized, how well they worked on the action items and the improvement areas which we identified from our previous sprint as a part of our retrospective, and how better we worked as a team into current sprint. That I would say is one of my achievement as a scrum master. And again, like how efficiently we worked on all our committed user stories, and we effectively demoed, got it accepted, and we achieved our sprint goal in a way. So that's the achievement for our entire team, I would say, and as well as for me as a scrum master.
Okay. And how your team is doing the estimation? What are the different technique which you are using?
So for our team currently, we are using planning poker as an estimation. So we have some reference stories with us, like a reference story which justifies a one pointer story. And the similar kind of work that comes into backlog, team tries to identify the news stories with reference to the reference story, and they do the estimation as a team. So we use a planet poker tool where everyone in the team contributes toward putting their estimation, and as a team we estimate the user story. So we use Fibonacci series where we use those numbers to estimate our stories.
Okay, okay. And measure health of your team.
Health of the team, what I would say, like I will track some of the metrics which are there out in Rally, a default metrics at first. Like I'll go over the burn down chart, and I would try to see each day how we are progressing towards our commitment, how the user stories are getting burnt, and do we see any challenges. And I try to restrict too much of work in progress and too much of context switching, so that we can aim to achieve to do to start stopping and stop starting. In a way, we have some user story which are uh, completed state, and the value is delivered at the end of each increment. So I don't encourage team or a team try to work in a way that we try to sorry, I'm getting throat this thing, Sunan, just let me drink some water.
No problem. Let me pause it.
That we try to see that we don't have too much of work in progress, so that we get some last minute surprises. In a way, most of the items are in incomplete state and very few in completed state. So how we target to complete our sprint is we pick one priority user story each team member, and we tend to complete it first, and then we go on picking the other stories, so that we what we started we complete it, and we don't end up in multiple incomplete states. So that is the one thing which our team is focused towards, and we try a level best to achieve that. So in a way, we have a good iteration value at the end of each sprint.
Sure. Okay. Okay. So nowadays you aware about that due to COVID, right? Everyone is, we are now truly distributed team. Like just forget about on-site and offshore, but within a team itself, everyone is. So how do you work with the team members now, and how you make sure that they are adhering to the Scrum practice?
Yeah, so yes, I would say it is challenging, but at the same time, I try to be a part of a team, and I try to understand their pain areas as well. And I don't restrict my communication only to the events. We try to talk more often. We try to see the status of the user story, how we are going on, and we try to see if any one of the team is facing any challenges. In a way, it's a give and take relationship with the team and the scrum master. So we have that bonding established, and we make sure that we all are aligned and focused towards our sprint goal. So we work together, and we try to give our best towards our commitment. So we use our online platform like Teams, which we have available, and we try to communicate and try to connect more often. And we do not restrict our communication only to the events. And that's how I feel like that is one thing which help us to be, more connected, even being distributed.
Okay. Thank you, Gayatri. Anything else you want to share?
No, Sunan, I'm fine for now.
Okay. Okay then. Thank you. Thanks for your time.